Currently, there are a lot of issues in Chivalry 2. First, there's the default customization bug. If you're on PC, this is the fix. If you're on console, this is what I saw a lot of people suggesting to do on Reddit. It worked for this guy, so I'd recommend trying this first. The devs also recommended doing this for Xbox and this for PlayStation, so give that a try if the Reddit suggestion doesn't work. Then there's issues of constant crashing for Xbox and PlayStation players being placed in a server outside of their region, cosmetics that can't be purchased, and titles from the tutorial that won't unlock. And there's remaining issues with the party system. Overall, the community seems to be pretty unhappy. Most of the issues brought up by players deal with combat, which is the biggest attraction in this game. Issues brought up by the community include hit registration, active parry issues, the turn cap nerfs, which have made overheads and stabs harder to land so they're less viable, leading to more slash spam playstyles. This is also due to the slowing down stabs nerf. Players seem to be torn on the crouch nerf. Some people think it looked silly and are glad it got nerfed, while other players hate the change, and players being able to block attacks from behind. Right now, the overall combat feels worse than when the game launched. The changes to stabs, overheads, and the turn cap made one-handed weapons that were already pretty OP the top choice for players. The meta now seems to be to switch to a one-handed weapon like the mace or sword and just spam slash. It's extremely boring to fight against this over and over again when players aren't using a variety of weapons. The community manager responded to a Reddit post talking about hit registration, saying, "There are two main things causing this that we are looking into. Players ending up in servers that have higher ping than they're used to. We're still trying to resolve why this is happening, but playing on higher ping never feels great. We think a change we made last patch to help prevent turn cap exploits was too harsh and causing players to feel like they're missing hits, in particular overheads and stabs, that they should be landing. We're going to dial this down in an upcoming hotfix." Other issues I'm constantly experiencing are matches still not starting balanced on 3v3, but at least there's a join in progress now, so that's something. So what's the timeline for this stuff getting fixed? Well, it's complicated. The devs have known about these issues for a couple of weeks now, after issuing the first hotfix. The plan was to release a hotfix on Xbox today to fix some of the crashing issues, then release another hotfix for all platforms to combat some of the issues we talked about previously next week, the week of September 6th. However, it seems like the devs ran into some issues releasing the Xbox hotfix today, and now it's scheduled for tomorrow. And we'll see what happens with hotfixes for other platforms next week. This is a scary time for Chivalry 2. In my opinion, the game is in its worst state since release because of all the issues affecting the gameplay, remaining issues with the party system, and the community is still mad about no crossplay parties. Personally, I could deal with a lot of other jank in this game because the gameplay was so good, but not now when there's major issues affecting the core gameplay. You also have to remember that over the summer, there hasn't really been any major game releases. Civ 2 was pretty much in a class of its own, and the only game that would probably interest a lot of Civ players is Naraka Bladepoint, which if you're on PC and looking for something new to play, I definitely recommend checking out. But the summer's over, people are going back to school, no more summer Fridays at work, it's September 1st, and that means that massive AAA games are going to start releasing like crazy as we get closer and closer to the holiday season, with the most anticipated game coming out in January. For Civ, unfortunately that means that more games are going to be competing for your time and money. I know one of the biggest games I'm looking forward to is Deathloop, and that comes out in 2 weeks. A lot of people just play whatever game the boys are on. Back in January, the boys and I went on like a 2-month Rocket League binge before swapping to Warzone. As more new games come out and your friend group develops new interests, you're more likely to start bouncing around to new games as older ones get stale. If Civ doesn't fix these issues quickly, it might be a too little too late situation, with issues driving players away and no recurring content like a battle pass for players to grind for and keep them engaged. Hardcore fans are going to remain, but the casual audience will move on. This happens with every game. Let me know how you guys feel about the state of the game down in the comments, and what games you're excited to play as we get closer and closer to the holiday season. And make sure you stay tuned for my next video. You won't want to miss it.